She said it was goodbye, but the way her fingers trembled on my cheek told me she didn't want to let go. The night begins with a strange kind of quiet, not empty, but tight, stretched, like the air knows something you don't. The narrator arrives at her home expecting an ordinary evening, maybe one of their soft, comfortable conversations, maybe one of those moments where her eyes warm just long enough to make him forget the world. But instead, he finds her standing by the window, arms wrapped loosely around herself, shoulders drawn inward like she's holding something heavy but invisible. He notices everything about her tonight. The way the soft indoor lights highlight the faint smile lines at the corners of her eyes, the way her long black hair drapes over one shoulder, and how her steady confidence seems just a little fractured. She turns to him with a smile that doesn't match her eyes, a smile that feels rehearsed. And before he can settle into the room, she says words that knock the breath out of him. "We need space." The words fall gently, but they land like stones. He tries to understand, tries to read her expression, the slight downward tilt of her gaze, the tightening at her jaw, the way she touches her wrist like she's stopping her own hand from reaching for him. She walks closer, her steps slow, careful, almost apologetic. When she reaches him, her fingers brush his forearm, a touch so light it feels like a fading memory. She explains that she's afraid, not of him, but of the way he makes her feel, of the way her life has been steady for so long, and how he arrived and stirred up emotions she buried years ago. She tells him she's not sure she deserves something real anymore. She says she doesn't want to hurt him. Her voice wavers just once, just enough to betray how much this costs her. He listens, his chest tightening with every word. The room feels smaller, warmer, and painfully intimate. When she finally looks up, her dark brown eyes shimmer with a blend of fear and longing. He lifts a hand to her cheek, and she doesn't pull away. In fact, she leans into the touch for a moment too long. Her breath hitches, her eyes close, and it feels like she silently begs him not to stop. But then she steps back. One step, then another. She says it's the right thing. She says it's temporary, but her hands shake. The narrator is left in a storm of emotions, confusion, affection, hurt, and an aching sense that something deeper is going on behind her words. Something she's not telling him. Something she's scared to share. The night she walks away doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like the beginning of a truth she's not ready to face. She tries to create space, but the space feels artificial, like two people pretending not to orbit each other. Days pass where their routines overlap almost by accident. She crosses the same grocery aisle he's in, pauses for just a second too long before turning away. He walks past a cafe window and catches her staring out, lost in thought. The emotional goal of this part is restraint battling longing. He begins noticing the small ways she hasn't fully let go, the way her messages are shorter but never cold, the way she still checks in about things she doesn't need to, the way her voice softens if he sounds even slightly tired. When they finally speak again, casually, her body language betrays everything she tries to hide. Her fingers linger too long on the edge of her coffee cup. Her throat tightens when he laughs. Her eyes soften every time he looks away, as though she's stealing glances she's no longer allowed to have. There's tension, but it's warm, the kind that aches softly rather than burns. He starts realizing that she didn't create distance to escape him. She created it because she's afraid of how close she already feels that it happens unexpectedly. A message late at night. Nothing dramatic, just, "Are you awake?" Her voice on the phone is unsteady, softer than usual. She admits she's been overthinking. She admits she misses his presence more than she expected. And though her words are careful, her breathing tells the truth. She feels safer talking to him under the cover of darkness, where she doesn't have to be strong. He walks to her home because she didn't want to be alone tonight, a phrase carrying more weight than she meant to reveal. When she opens the door, she looks tired, not physically, but emotionally, as if holding herself together took all day. The emotional goal here is vulnerability breaking through self-protection. She sits close, too close for someone trying to keep space. A small touch, her hand brushing his, sends a tremor through the moment. She doesn't pull back. She just closes her eyes, as though grounding herself in the warmth. The next morning, she withdraws again, but not emotionally this time, just scared. Something from her past resurfaces, an old relationship that left scars, expectations from family, the fear of choosing someone younger and facing judgment. She tells him things she's never told anyone, not because she planned to, but because his presence pulls honesty out of her. The emotional goal is revealing the wound that created the whole conflict. He listens without interrupting. He sits close, but not touching, giving safety without pressure. And for the first time, she looks at him with an expression that feels like quiet surrender, the look of someone who realizes she's not alone anymore. This is the emotional peak, the moment everything she's scared of collides with everything she feels. When they argue, it's never shouting. It's whispering too sharply, speaking too quietly because both care too much. She accuses him of deserving someone simpler. He accuses her of running from happiness. A moment of silence follows, heavy, thick, trembling. Then she steps close, rests her forehead lightly against his chest, and whispers that she's terrified of hurting him, but even more terrified of losing him. The emotional goal is confession without explicitly confessing. Touch lingers. Breathing sinks, but she still pulls away. Only this time, he sees the hesitation and the desire. They stop pretending. Not officially, no labels, but everything becomes softer, warmer, unavoidably intimate. She starts reaching for his hand first. He starts noticing how she watches him like he's something she's rediscovering. One evening, during a quiet walk, she slips her arm through his. It feels natural, terrifyingly natural. The emotional goal is acceptance blooming quietly between them. She smiles more, laughs more, talks freely, yet there's still a tiny shadow in her eyes. A final fear waiting to be confronted. The final part resolves everything, softly, honestly, humanly. She calls him over, not with uncertainty, but with a steadiness she hasn't shown before. Her home is warmly lit, calm, peaceful. When he enters, she walks toward him slowly, eyes steady, hands relaxed, for the first time completely unafraid. She takes his hands gently, fingers threading through his, and tells him the truth she's been circling from the start. I left because I was scared, but being without you, that hurt more. Her thumb brushes his wrist, warm, lingering, deliberate. She steps closer, resting her forehead against his like a quiet promise. The emotional goal is earned intimacy the moment she stops running. The story ends with warmth, with closeness, with both of them finally choosing each other fully, not out of impulse, but out of understanding.